Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel, and today I am joined by the shadowy figure in the corner of my room, Tanner Dykstra. And today we're here to talk about Presence, the latest and maybe greatest horror film from our man Steven Soderbergh. He is here, he's in the chair, and we're here to review it. But of course, if you have seen Presence and want to talk to us about this film that, spoilers, both of us quite enjoyed, you can join our Discord, which has a link in the description, or you can leave a comment letting us know your thoughts on this film. What would you give it out of 10? That's a little engagement bait for you. That's me dangling the keys in front of you guys.
All right, you dumb fucks, take the bait.
There you go. Yeah, wait, comment on my video. Yeah, give me engagement. Tanner.
Yeah.
You've seen Presence.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Tucker, I really enjoyed Presence. It was something I was very excited for. I only watched the trailer like a couple days ago for some little rewards points on the theater app that I use, and
they were jingling in front of you like, hey,
exactly.
Rewards points?
And it really hyped my excitement to the film because that trailer is super great and also like super ominous and spooky, which is not, might I add, the vibe of Presence. Presence is a very still sort of film that, obviously immediately hooks you in with the premise of like, you are the ghost that is haunting somebody in a haunted house movie. Perfect idea from the outset right there, and so well executed as Steven Soderbergh folds in these ideas of grief and writes his characters so richly and kindly and humanely. There's a lot to like love about Presence. It's not a movie that I guess is going to like spook you to your core. That's gonna make you sleep with the lights on at night. But it's really something that's really moves you emotionally, and I found that very profound and even a greater accomplishment than many horror movies can accomplish.
Yeah, well, because The Secret, Tanner, this is not a horror movie. It has a horror movie premise.
Correct.
That there is a spirit watching a family. That is something we've seen in many horror films and have basically never seen in a not horror film, especially tonally. But this is a family drama movie. This is about just interpersonal conflicts and about grief and about like making sure you coexist within a family and like treat each other properly, because that's what's going to allow you to exist and build greater bonds in the future. That's what the movie is about, and pacing wise and shot composition wise and things. This is a drama film. There's not jump scare moments almost at all. Nope. There's not a lot of dark shots, frankly. Most of this takes place during the day, or there's a lot of lights on.
There's also nothing to be scared by because you're the ghost.
That's true. Yeah. But of course, you could easily, as the ghost, be messing with people. Yeah. Be a little bit more aggressive. But the presence, the spirit that we are inhabiting as the viewer and as the camera, is not a malicious figure. No. Doesn't have any reason to upset the people living in the house. Of course, there are moments of confusion, of tension when that things sort of do come to a head, but they're handled in a much more calm way than any other horror movie or something where the tension is not the driving force of Presence. This is really about the latent interpersonal drama between our characters, in which they harbor a little bit of regrets of something they did or resentment against another person.
It's the tension is the mystery of what exactly is this, what exactly are the inner machinations of this family, what is coming to a head here, and also what is the presence, what is the ghost, what are you, the viewer, going through this thing. I mean, there's the scene, the classic scene that you get in your Paranormal Activities, etc., where like the medium, the psychic, comes to the house and it sort of explains the goings on, and she sort of explains that like the spirit is confused, it does not really remember who it is, and you get a lot of that. I mean, Soderbergh works absolute magic with the camera here, letting you know that that scene probably comes like halfway through this film, and even before that you're well tuned into the fact that like the ghost, the spirit, is shy. It has, it hides, even though that it can't be seen most of the time. And like you feel a real sense of shock to the movement and everything when it is seen, when especially by our main character of the movie is Callina Liang as Chloe, who is a teenage girl. She has recently lost some friends to apparent drug overdoses, and by the and because of that, has a sort of a spiritual connection. She can sort of see through the door a little bit, as the psychic character explains, and can feel, or even at times I guess mostly feel, because the seeing is more of like a visceral thing, actually, more than like she can make out the presence itself. But when those moments arise, it is like, whoa, what's going on here? And the camera feels that, and you feel that, and sitting in your seat.
Yeah, and the camera work is something that I'm fascinated by in this movie, because that's the gimmick of this movie, is that you're in the eyes of the ghost, and so it technically is a first-person film, which there aren't very many of movies like that. And it does lead to some really interesting moments where, hey, this presence has a really good eye for framing, which I appreciate. Because you get some really nicely framed shots, but then I feel like it is a very interesting technique to ground you as a viewer in the filmmaking, because for me, as someone who has watched a lot of movies, analyzed a lot of movies, the presence of the camera in a film is something you never really consider, because it's almost never a character, unless it's a POV shot or a found footage movie or something like that.
It's a tightrope you need to walk as a director, like drawing attention to the camera versus not, like explicitly knowing when you want to do that.
Yeah, but what makes this so interesting is the camera becomes an active agent in this film, where any given movement that the camera makes is an emotional reaction or an emotional response from a character, which is the present that the film is titled after. And I find that really compelling, because it calls to your mind whenever the presence chooses to follow someone, whenever it reacts, as you were mentioning. What you think every camera movement is a choice. And of course, in every movie, it's a choice by the cinematographer and the director.
Within the world of the film, it is a choice being taken by this mysterious, otherworldly figure, this being that you are really following. And listen, it's just the fucking the goatedness of Steven Soderbergh and David Koepp here to execute upon this idea, because it is so great. It is so interesting to just have that be the idea of the film, and then you get absolute masters to fill in the rest, color in the lines and everything like that.
Totally. Yeah, and there are two things I will say about that. Number one, the one element of the film that I am hit or miss on, it does get better as it goes, but that first-person camera, especially with how fish-eyed the camera is, kind of made me a little bit sick, especially during the beginning of the movie. Like, but like when we're like floating up the stairs and the corners of the house are like passing by the camera like in warping ways, I felt a little sick to my stomach. It did get better.
Sick,
I got used.
You get sick during like found footage movies and stuff?
No, I don't know. I think it is the fisheye thing, because there definitely is like a bulge near the end of the edge of the screen that really got to me, especially because it isn't really handheld for a lot of it. It's very floaty. It's very steady cam.
Yeah, it's got to be like a rig of some kind. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the combination of that fisheye and the steady cam, I think, like made me feel a little bit seasick.
Yeah.
But it did. I definitely got used to it as the movie went, and because for the beginning I was like, oh, this is really going to ruin the movie for me, and it doesn't.
Okay, good. Good.
And that's the gimmick of the movie. That is a first-person movie ostensibly. But the great part.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
The great part about presence, and why I think it rises above that, is that's not the best part of this movie. The best part of this movie is the screenplay and how natural the dialogue is, and how it ties in all of these characters in interesting ways, and makes them feel like really genuine, just people you are watching. And that is what really like surprised me about this movie and made me love it a lot more than I expected to. Though I was sold on the premise, I was taken in deeper into the world of this movie, not even by the ghost character, but by this is just a well-written family drama. Otherwise,
it's supremely well written.
Yeah. Talk about some of those characters in the dialogue.
So I do want to. The thing I was trying to interject with, and I'm sorry for interrupting you earlier, is like the camera movement and everything like that is obviously necessary to making it feel a little bit otherworldly. The camera can't like be rocking side to side if you're a ghost the kind of situation. But anyway, the characters, Tucker, are so good. I mean, some of the very first stuff you get like the introduction of the family as they're doing the little tour of the house, and like you're hooked into the dynamics immediately. You have a pretty standard nuclear family setup.
Yeah,
Mom, dad, son, daughter. Okay.
Yes.
You
cover all the tropes.
You cover all the classics, the cliches of the American family.
Dude, those are classic kind of people. Moms,
right.
dads, sons, daughters. I love them. Classic.
But no, I think you also have this hook of like having characters that you in the family that you like and don't like. I mean, Lucy Liu's character, Lucy Liu plays the mother of the family, the matriarch, if you will, and she has this scene towards the beginning of the film that immediately gives you like hints towards, oh, she is a real like boy mom, I guess, as people on the internet would describe them, like really only caring about like her son's success academically and athletically, and her daughter, who is having very serious mental health issues. She is like, who really cares? Time heals all wounds, etc., etc. And the son is obviously very informed. He feels fully formed in, like, he has lived with that his entire life, with his being the mother's favorite. And so he feels brash and overconfident and overzealous in how he treats other people.
Can do what he wants without consequences.
Exactly. And there are multiple scenes to that effect. And then on the other side, instead of having, like, the affable sort of, disconnected father figure, the father is, like, very emotionally in tune with everything that is going on in the family dynamic, especially with his daughter. And he never, like, screams at his wife, Lucy Liu, for, being so removed from it, because it feels like this dynamic, he has lived in it, again, for so long. And so he has a bit more of, like, a personable connection with his daughter, where he's being gentle but also very like, hey kiddo, like, you feel like a burrito kind of thing. And it feels that it feels so lived in and natural and sweet. Anytime they talk, it's so sweet and nice, their interactions. I love them.
And it's, I think, a really fascinating creative choice to center this film around a father-daughter dynamic that feels very genuine. The truth of the matter is that Chris and Chloe are the main characters of the movie, and Lucy Liu and her son, whose characters' names I can't quite remember as clearly.
The son is Tyler and Lucy Liu is Rebecca.
Rebecca. Okay, I'm honestly, I don't even know if they say that name in the movie. But the two of them are definitely backgrounded in terms of, like, especially the backstory we get from them, or like the emotional arcs we get from both of them, which is fine, because I think that the dynamic between Chris and Chloe is what sells this movie as a unique take on not only a family drama but a horror movie, especially. And the way in which they have their bond, and they have moments where they really connect to one another, and we get scenes of Chris being frustrated and sort of exasperated with his family's dynamic. Everyone feels believable, and it feels like they're all in their own way trying to do what they think is right for the family. But even when it's like Tyler being a dick, you understand, as you were mentioning, like the dynamic he grew up in. He feels like this is him being a man. He should be in control because he knows what's best.
His sister is being weird. She's the one bringing down and bringing a weird vibe to the family. So she should be, she needs to be chastised for that. And of course, Chloe is vindicated in a scene. In the scene following, like, that really weird scene where Tyler's talking about his mom, like, the prank that he pulled on some girl, and, like, her nudes had been leaked or whatever. And that's when the president goes upstairs and trashes his room, when you're like, fuck that guy, he's an asshole. And then Chloe comes in, and there's that really interesting shot where she gets really close to the lens, and the rest of her family is backgrounded. Also have to applaud Steven Soderbergh. Hey, Steven Soderbergh, good director, so good at blocking this entire thing.
Oh, sure.
Because these are a lot of, like, long takes where the camera is drifting in and out of rooms, going from corners to corners to corners, and every moment of it is so well situated with our actors in the frame. It always feels very intentional and very so well staged in so many aspects of it. Like, when you're like, I can see every character's face here. I can see how they're reacting to the things going on, and it doesn't feel as if it doesn't feel too forced. It feels very natural with how the characters are moving in relation to the camera.
Well, that goes to a great strength of this movie around the whole is, even though there is this gimmick to it, the rest of it feels so natural. You buy into this world very well. I actually really like the production design of this movie, which is not a spooky house, not a rundown house. Nope. It is frankly, like an upper middle class house that is very nice. It's very bright, big windows, really fancy kitchen,
ornate staircase.
Great staircase. Also, second staircase, like off to the side of the kitchen. Where does that go?
I think it might just be an attic of sorts.
Yeah, but like directly from the kitchen to an attic. I don't know. We never went up that staircase. No, but other than that, another element that I really like about this house and this setting is that because we choose a lot of tracking shots, we get a very good sense of spatially how far apart things are, what the layout of the house is, and so you can kind of start filling in whenever either a character is going somewhere or the presence is going somewhere. It's like I can kind of guess where they're going, and so it lets you like get into their mindset a little bit better, which can be something that is hard in other films, especially ones with more complicated locations or a more complicated set of characters. When you don't understand how far apart things are or where rooms are in relation to one another, this movie doesn't have that issue because it is one location. It is a very well lit location. There's not like dark corridors you have to deal with, and it's a family home. Like people are going into each other's rooms. People are like shouting up and down the stairs to like get each other's attention. That I think also makes it feel very genuine. Of like just as a movie family, they're like living in this place like a normal family would, where they're like sometimes they invade each other's privacy a little bit and like. But it feels very natural.
Because as you were pointing to earlier, Tucker, the story of the film is really a family drama until they like realize they have a ghost in the house, and even then, like that family drama still overwhelms the presence of this ghost because it's not like we've been saying, it's not aggressive in any way. And at a key moment, we learn that the ghost is there for a reason that has not happened yet, and that line that revelation takes us into the third act.
Well, also because the additional reveal on top of that is that this presence is here sort of out of time because it's it's a fourth dimensional being or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Time doesn't really work the same, and so I think we should get a little bit into spoilers because there's another element of this movie. There's two elements of this movie that sort of tie into where things are tied up at the end. That screenplay wise, like, oh man, they really set this shit up. Which is Chloe's relationship with Ryan, who is the popular boy at their school. Both Tyler and Chloe are high schoolers that go to the same school. I think they're like 2 years apart or something like that. Something like that. And he's the popular kid who Tyler's trying to be friends with because he thinks it like helps his social standing.
He's so cool. He's huge at this school. You don't understand how important this is.
And also he has a romantic relationship with Chloe that then turns
out
to
DL. She doesn't want Tyler to know.
In a high school way of like you don't want anyone to like pry into your private life.
Streak.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting part of this movie because it is where I think all the themes coalesce is in the dynamic between Chloe and Ryan that sort of ties in all these stresses of grief and how close you get to other people. And I think the main theme of this film is control in relationship and power balances in relationships to the point where the climactic element of this movie and a big tension building element of this movie is Ryan being he has like a control kink, I guess. And
so he is the most evil character conceived in all of fiction. He sucks so bad, and when it happens, because earlier in the film you see him try to drug Chloe. And
the president stops it.
The president stops it, and there's obviously sinister implications there. But Soderbergh and Koepp even like further even make it more sinister when like his true plan comes to fruition, and that he is some sort of like weird, kinked, fucked up serial killer who kills both of Chloe's friends. And also has this monologue effectively as Chloe is like succumbing to the drugs that he's like mixed into her drink and like slowly trying to asphyxiate her with saran wrap in a very slow and monotonous manner that like he's all about like control is something that I was lacking for a lot of my life, so I took it. I gave it to you, but because I gave it to you, I can take it back. And very sinister and malicious the way that they have this entire scene written, and how West Mulholland, the actor for Ryan, really delivers it. It makes you scared and like filled with hate toward this character, and you're like, something's got to put a stop to this.
Yeah, especially because it's like a one shot. This is like a one take thing. You sit through
a lot of long takes in this film. Yeah,
and frankly, I really want to know the production reality behind the actress for Chloe having to sit there with the freaking saran wrap on her face. Like, it is terrifying shit. Yeah. Watching her like getting sucked into her nostrils and her mouth, and also like I don't know, the weird story behind this, that he has like dark side of the internet, very specially thin saran wrap that he keeps in like a little metal tube.
It's so really crazy and weird, and you're like, oh, what the fuck is up with this guy? Somebody needs to push this guy out a window. And in fact, that is exactly what happens. It is, the presence is, while not able to wake up Chloe, and hang on, since we did it before we started rolling, I do have to recreate the effect. When trying to do like a whoa. Fails to wake her up, goes downstairs to where Tyler has also been drugged and knocked out by Ryan, wakes him up, and then we got boom, 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 stomping up the stairs. He is in a stupor. He is like still half drugged, and he's like, get away from her. Bang, out the window, glass smash, cut, point and look down, both their bodies splayed out of the concrete. Hard cut to like the epilogue of the film, effectively. Like, great ending to this movie, and God, the way I do want to go back briefly and talk about Ryan, because the way his character is written in the minutes leading up to this thing, because you obviously, like I said, long takes, you see him make the drinks, put the drugs in the drinks, walk all the way upstairs with them as the presence follows him to see.
It's so calculated.
Exactly. And then, the fucking way that he plays this scene of being like, I'm so sad, nobody loves me. I'm so alone, I'm so fucked up, I fucked everything up, and you probably hate me. I'm like, this guy needs to get 10,000 nails run through his head immediately. Like, this guy needs to be done away with in the most horrid way possible, with how much I hate this fucking guy.
Well, it's a really interesting emotional moment, because it ties back in earlier to the parts that I was mentioning of where I feel like this is sort of the coalescence of all of the themes of the film. How Chloe has really felt alone within her family. Her father's really the only one she connects with. She's lost multiple of her friends. And then also she has found a relationship with Ryan that does allow her to sort of come out of her shell a little bit. They do have moments early in the film prior to you finding out that he has this sinister edge to him that they do like talk about.
Because he puts on these airs of being like an outsider, just like her, who no one really understands, and he has to put up all these walls just like she does.
And of course the serial killer aspect of it is like, that's what makes him incredibly, incredibly evil. But the thing that weirded me out the most was the continual insistence of him like, I'm a nice guy, it's all on you. You control the paces. And I'm like sitting to myself like,
this guy's fucked up.
There's something wrong about this.
Hey, it's whatever you want. It's all on you. You know. Which is like the manipulation of this Chloe, who's a very traumatized character, and like lying to her, feeding her the lie of like you feel like you're lacking control in your life. You feel like things don't make sense anymore. I'm giving that to you. You can have a little bit of control in this moment, just between you and I.
Yeah, it's
hate
crazy.
That fucking guy. Most evil character in all of fiction.
And then that also does tie into the larger family themes of the marital dynamic between Rebecca and Chris, where their dynamic is very much about control and about the way that they each take care of their kids in different ways, and also because Chris feels like he doesn't have a lot of power in their relationship. Rebecca is very calculating, very forward planning, and doesn't really let other people have a say in the matter. And so we do get quite a few sequences of them having conversations about their marriage and where it's gone wrong and the frustrations that each of them are having. And that theme of control, I don't really know how it plays into like the presence and the narrative of what ends up happening, which is, of course, that this presence is here because Tyler dies.
Yes.
And it's Tyler's spirit that is here the entire time, which is interesting, and a very interesting reveal because it recolors the actions that the presence takes throughout the film in protecting his sister from being drugged. The first time, not the second time, which is like, getting to build tension, whatever. But also, like being very caring towards Chloe in like subtle ways, which is really interesting.
Trashing his own room for being an asshole.
Yeah, which is fascinating also because the plant for a lot of the movie, script-wise, is that it's Nadia. It's her friend who died, like a year ago or whatever, died of a drug overdose, though actually we learned it was Ryan who ended up killing her. And both of those, I think, are equally compelling, like, concepts of, like, the friend who died, like, being still there for her still living friend and being caring because of that, and like seeing her brother being a dick and all that. But then when you learn that it's actually his spirit existing in this place and kind of making good on like him being an asshole, it's a really emotionally rich character for a character that doesn't have any lines, that doesn't have a lot of agency, doesn't have a lot of actions. You do, because of this reveal at the very end of the film, it colors each of those actions in a very emotionally complicated light.
For sure. The moment at the end when you finally see Ryan's face reflected in this mirror, and like Lucy Liu, again, as we've learned, is so in grief in that moment that she's able to actually see him, and that's where the reveal happens. Gotta love a like closing of the movie blood curdling scream of like revelation and horror and so many emotions wrapped up in that moment from Lucy Liu, who like really brings it in that final closeout. It's so good, that reveal. I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to mention about the thing. Yeah, I mean, there's these ideas of like control and almost like predestination with the fact that Ryan's spirit has been there retroactively to stop something that hasn't happened yet. I think it's very smart, but also doesn't get too bogged down in its ideas. It presents things very matter of factly. These concepts that would maybe at this point can be taken for granted in a horror movie like this, because of the groundwork that's been laid in the genre before. You know the psychic, the idea of grief opening a door, etc., etc. They know not to like linger too long on these things. Take them as understood in the audience. So, just super smart and sweet movie that has a lot of like great moments. Last thing I want to say. This is a small thing. There is an element to this film that is also like Chris asking his like lawyer friend about like illegal activities that like a spouse is doing, and if the other one is culpable for that, even if they get divorced, and that's not like that doesn't really come up in the movie. It doesn't like bubble over in the movie. Yeah. I just love that underlying that like through line narrative that existing parallel to what we are seeing.
Yeah. I do think it's a little bit disappointing that we never return to that, because it is such a consistently repeated and also very interesting plot concept. And thematically, with their relationship sort of being on the rocks and wanting to fix it and all this stuff, I think it is a little bit... I actually think it's a pretty big missed opportunity to not have there be some sort of reveal of what that actually is in a conversation, or like what the illegal activity that presumably Rebecca's actually doing is. I don't know. It doesn't really impact things, but I'm like, that would have been like the real nailing things down, because like that's a plot line that literally doesn't go anywhere.
The weird thing about it though is that I love it. This is something that it made me think of 2018's Searching as well, which also has these things that are like in the peripheries of the film are other plot lines that just are running parallel to the story being told. There's a deeper level to these people and their lives than what we are seeing or what Soderbergh or Koepp is concerned with in the story they are telling. And I think you get what payoff would be super compelling is that they're doing like insider trading at their company. I don't know.
Sure.
Like that's kind of the thing for me. It also for me also fills in this thing of like, I mean, the only way you can afford a house like this in 2025 is if you're embezzling from your company, basically. It's a huge dude. The house, it zooms out. The final shot of the film is a zoom out of the house, ripping off Robert Zemeckis here, by the way. And you see it has like a 2-car garage detached, and then like 2 additional parking spaces of like Christ, and there's like a whole aspect of the whole patio section and everything like that. Really nice house. Would like to live in that house. Yeah. Anyway, Tucker, 9.1 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll say 8.6 out of 10. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a really excellent movie that I think will only get better as time goes on. It shows that Soderbergh, who has had, I would say, a rocky last few years in terms of like success of his films, and my enjoyment of them, like, yeah, they're usually pretty good, but like they don't really stick with me. This is one that feels very fresh. I think it really shows that David Koepp, as a writer who was involved in like Spider-Man 2 and Jurassic Park, like he's been around forever.
One of the goats of all time,
still has the juice to write something very compelling. And it also is just really professionally made. Like, I like Steven Soderbergh because he's able to operate between like the Ocean's movies, which are high budget blockbuster things, and then like Kimmy, which was made for like 2 pence in a paperclip. But this feels very professional, but very small. And I do think that the effects are also very good. Especially the moment when the Presence picks up the books and sort of moves them around. Dude, how you do that?
When that stuff happens for the first time, you're like, oh my god, this is so fucking good. And it's so simple because Soderbergh is a master of that. He's a master of like really blowing you away with simplicity, with how well he executes upon the most base level interesting things. Love it. Tucker, it's just too bad that we're not getting another Soderbergh and Koepp project for a while. Wait a second.
Yes.
Wait a second, Tucker. I think we're getting one in 2 months.
Jesus Christ. Well, we will be back to review that next film, which is Black Bag, if you weren't aware. And, of course, any other films that Steven Soderbergh, who is one of our favorite directors, in the future. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this very thorough breakdown of Presence. Go see it if you haven't. Go rewatch it if you have. We'll see you guys next time. What's going on? Do you sense a presence?
Yes. Yeah, I actually, literally, yes, because the house or the floor vibrated a little bit because our neighbors or whatever pulled out like a dinner chair or something.
Maybe it's because the presence went...
Wait, sorry, hang on.
It's like you're like tightening your butthole.
Doing some Kegels.
Yeah. Is that the first Kegels reference on Bailby?
Probably.
First of many. God willing.
2025.
Year of the Kegels.